What type of tarot reader are you? So I hope I don't trigger anyone when I say this, and this isn't casting any shade, and people do not need to justify themselves with what I'm about to say, but it's just food for thought. When I was younger and I was trying to build my experience and kind of carve out my reading style, I used to work for other platforms, so companies who brought calls to me. The lines is how I always describe them. And when you first started with them, you were asked to sign to say that you would not cover certain subjects. And most importantly, you had to carry with you or have for every call a list of contact numbers. So things like the Samaritans and Mind and crisis teams locally and that type of thing. And that was for a duty of care. So the subjects were things like extension of families, loss of family, legal, illegal, financial, medical, that type of thing. And it came from the opinion of you're not qualified to do so, therefore you don't. And that was a hard and fast rule. Now what I've noticed is that when I'm speaking to people, they often say, oh my God, I had this reading and somebody told me this and then sent me on my way. Okay, so sent you on your way, then what? Well, there was no follow-up. There was no allowing the end or the reading as it draws to a close, any kind of explanation or way to empower the person as they leave the reading. I know everybody reads very different. You guys know I'm all about reading it from the metaphor of life and doing it from a technical perspective of the cards. But if you ask your questions in such a way when you can find out the whys and the hows of things, then the answer, not that it is any less devastating if it's not good, but the person knows why. So when you're wrapping up the reading, it's normally a good time to, say, what can you do to move forward? What things can you concentrate on, etc. A lot of people don't do that. And especially when you're reading on a carousel. Now, I've been watching a lot of lives lately, and it's for no other reason than me being curious and considering doing it myself and admiring people. A lot of my students actually do the lives, which is why I've started getting them on my For You page. And I love watching them. There's good and there's terrible, as always. And what I've noticed, there are people, and each into their own, are answering yes no questions about things that are really life altering, but then it's done and moved on to the next person, and then that person is forgotten about. And I just want to say, has it ever occurred to you when you do a reading for someone, whether or not it is face to face, not back to back with other people, or perhaps on a carousel, what then happens to that person? Because people can walk away from something utterly devastated. So it is important to know when to call time on a reading, whether to even start a reading, what happens if at the end of it somebody is not feeling great, and how to approach offering supports and different people that they can contact. It is a duty of care. It is important. And I genuinely don't know how some people sleep at night, because they think they can just give someone a brutal answer, tell them something's no, oh, that person's no good, they'll cheat. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I don't see your family expanding this year, or whatever the case may be, but then don't think of the impact that then has on the person. So don't feel you need to run to the comments. I get people who try and defend, or people who will come at me, what is it to you? Why are you an authority or anything like that? It's just something to think about. No shade. Just be careful, because you don't know what that person is going through. And I've mopped up the mess many, many times when somebody has just flippantly said something and then taken no consideration to what that reading would then do after the fact. So let me know what your thoughts are in relation to if you agree from a querent point of view. So if you were getting a reading, and if you are a reader, it's just something really to consider, because it's really impactful and really important, especially if there's an exchange. There's a duty of care there, most definitely. All right, lots of love.